for nearly the past decade. I've basically lived a single life. I don't remember the last time I got to a location where somebody checked in on me and was like, hey, did you get there safe? And that's really sad for me. I look forward to the time when I fly somewhere and someone checks in and says, hey, you okay? Did you get there?
Hey, did you get there safe? That one line just hit me like a ton of bricks. I've never exactly been Meri's biggest fan, and let's be real, I haven't exactly warmed up to her over the years. But then, in the last episode, she dropped a bombshell that completely shattered me. She said, for nearly the past decade, I've basically lived a single life. I don't even remember the last time I went somewhere, and someone actually checked in on me, like, hey, did you get there safe? I look forward to the day when I fly somewhere, and someone actually cares enough to ask, are you okay? Did you get there? Oh, that really hit hard, and it made me think back to when her mom was dying, or had just passed, and no one even bothered to take her to her mom's house. She was falling apart emotionally, completely alone. It's like, how does that even happen when you're part of such a huge family and supposedly married? I mean, even an ex-husband would typically step up in situations like that, right? But Kody? Nope, he couldn't even bother. You'd think he'd at least show up to support his wife, or at the very least, show a little respect for his mother-in-law of all people. But no, this man has zero compassion, zero respect, and absolutely no care for anyone other than himself and Robyn and her kids. It's clear as day, nobody in that so-called family gives a damn about Meri beyond what she can contribute financially or with her time. Look, I know people like to drag Meri through the mud, but honestly, she's been through the ringer with this marriage, separation, and now divorce drama. I'm just glad she has Jen by her side, and I really hope she finds someone who treats her the way she deserves, if that's what she's after. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. Robyn really let her true colors shine through, didn't she? I mean, her casual remark was something else. When I came into this family, I knew and saw that when there's stretch marks and weight gain, he still had this romance going with each of them. I saw it. He had sweet things with each of them, she says. So apparently, in Robyn's world, stretch marks and weight gain are a fast track to being unlovable. And Kody, what a saint, right? He managed to overlook all those imperfections in the wives who gave him 6 children. Seriously, F. Robyn. Honestly, I was gobsmacked that she said that out loud. She was snarky and downright bitchy this episode. She didn't even try to hide her judgment. It's like she thought she was being all enlightened, but all she did was expose herself. And that whole considering another wife, that was just for show. She's been playing the martyr and victim from the very start, and now it's rubbed off on Kody. Suddenly, it's everyone else's fault but theirs. And that line she dropped about the fruit, and why are you looking at my orange? You have an apple. Maybe because we were all promised an orange. It was so rude. She's out here calling out the other wives' physical flaws, acting like they're unworthy of love, but not once does she think to point out Kody's own, shortcomings. Does she own a mirror? She's got stretch marks and weight gain too. Is she really looking down on the other wives like she's so much better? Oh, and let's not forget, Robyn came into the family with stretch marks from her first 3 kids with her first husband, so ironic. I honestly hope season 18 just follows Janelle, Christine, and Meri, because let's face it, there's nothing interesting going on with Kody and Robyn anymore. They've got no storyline left. Ariela's little outburst of "I hate Christine" is not some random tantrum. Let's not pretend there's no deeper meaning here. That kid didn't just wake up one day and decide she's got a personal vendetta against Christine. Robyn is clearly working overtime, planting ideas in her kids' heads. Ariela doesn't even know Christine, and there's absolutely no reason for her to hate her except for all the nonsense she's hearing from her parents. Or, let's be real, her grown-ass siblings who still live under Robyn's roof. Probably a little bit of both. Take that episode at Ysibel's graduation, for example. Robyn's daughters were basically playing the role of "I'm not talking to you because my mom says you're bad." It was so painfully obvious. And then Brianna's over there crying in every confessional. Aurora can't even walk upstairs without being carried and needs her dad to take her to get her ears pierced like she's a toddler. These kids are suffocating in a bubble of anxiety and overprotection. Now, Kody throws in his little jab about Christine not wanting a relationship with Robyn, trying to paint himself as the good guy. But here's the thing, if he's telling the truth, he's just making himself and Robyn look worse, because they're the ones filling Ariella's head with all this hate. Every time Robyn whines about Christine not wanting to have a relationship with her, it's hard not to see it for what it is, a desperate plea for sympathy. Let's be clear, Christine never said she didn't want a relationship with Robyn. She said, "Not right now." But Kody's too clueless to realize the audience isn't buying the narrative that a kid would have such strong negative feelings about someone who hasn't done a damn thing to her. And of course, Kody couldn't care less. At this rate, Robyn and Kody's kids are going to end up being even more bitter and resentful than their parents. That's the trajectory we're on. Trigger warning, discussion of Garrison. I'm not the biggest fan of talking about Garrison's situation, but a recent edit of Gwendolyn watching Last Lesson hit me hard. You know, the one where she talks about how it felt to watch Kody sobbing over not seeing Aurora for 10 days. It made me think of how much that must have crushed Garrison too. Imagine the emotional toll it took on him, hurting for Gwen, for himself, and for his other siblings. We often forget just how brutal that must have been, especially for anyone in the family already struggling with their mental health. As for Kody, well, he's the classic self-absorbed jerk with a memory that lasts all of 30 seconds. He says whatever he thinks will make him look good, without a second thought. But here's the thing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with discussing Garrison. It's not even a stretch to think that Kody's toxic comments and behavior could have deepened Garrison's despair. No one's bad-mouthing him. Considering the timeline in the current season, Garrison's struggles haven't fully unfolded yet. Maybe they'll address it if there's another season. And as for Aurora and Brianna, come on, they're not dumb. They were ripped from one family and left with nothing, only to be thrown into another and told, "Here's your new dad," without a single question. They know the score. They get the attention and the perks if they keep up the happy family act. It's obvious they don't love Kody as much as they let on, but Robyn's got them scared enough to keep playing along. Mystery solved. Why didn't Kody like his laptop gift? Well, folks, the mystery is finally solved. You remember back in the Vegas days when the original wives bought Kody a laptop, and his reaction was a total letdown. He literally called it a boring gift. Classic Kody, right? Robyn, of course, chimed in with, "Well, I knew Kody didn't want a laptop, but, well," and that was about all the explanation we got. But hold on, last night I had an epiphany. Kody mentioned Robyn setting up an office for him in Vegas, not to mention a dedicated parking spot in the garage. Robyn, ever this supportive wife, admitted that Kody spent more time at her house, but of course, that was for work. Presumably, work that involved a desktop PC in the office she so thoughtfully created for him. So what do Christine and Janelle do? They probably think, "Hey, let's buy Kody a laptop so he can work from our houses too." Makes perfect sense, right? Honestly, this theory fits with Robyn's classic manipulative ways of keeping Kody corralled in her space. She's practically a master of strategic control. And honestly, I think I'm onto something here. This tracks, but let's not forget, Kody's still a giant asshole. I can totally picture it. Someone probably suggested getting Kody a laptop so he could work from anywhere. But no, Robyn, in her infinite wisdom, had a quiet chat with him, knowing full well that a laptop would mean Kody wouldn't be at her house 24/7. So when the idea was brought up as a birthday gift, Robyn had no real reason to stop it. She couldn't exactly throw a tantrum and veto it, so she let it slide. Now, I know we all love to call Robyn sneaky and manipulative, but after watching last night's episode, it's clear she's not just cunning, she's downright dumb. I mean, seriously, how many times have we heard her say, "I just don't understand" around the campfire, no matter who's sitting there? Constantly. Last night, she even threw in a dramatic eye cross and a fake frown, classic Robyn. Her eyebrows actually bounced up and down. I almost lost it. Baha, baha. I mean, if a normal person showed up and stood by the fire, they'd be like, it's freezing out here. Maybe we should go inside. But not Robyn. She's perfectly content being completely ignorant and selfish. She's a real gem, isn't she? Did it ever cross Robyn's mind that Janelle's kids might not want to spend time in her massive, overpriced mansion, especially when their mom and sister are living in a cramped college apartment? Or that maybe they don't exactly love seeing the giant Christmas tree with piles of extravagant gifts underneath when they couldn't even get a simple birthday phone call from their dad? Does she really not get that it stings to watch their dad play the role of super dad to his new, picture-perfect family on Christmas morning? I'm starting to think Robyn doesn't care to understand the hurt in this family. It's clear she's more upset that the kids don't admire her or her fancy things than anything else. That's probably why she went on about how cheap their Christmas was and complained about the errand. It's all a reflection of her deep frustration that they don't want to be charmed by her wealth. What Robyn forgets is that these kids remember what it was like to be poor, but more importantly, they remember that they had each other. Being poor didn't mean they didn't have fun or meaningful moments together. Now that they're older, they get that time with the people they love is worth so much more than material things. Stop comparing Janelle's apples to Robyn's oranges. I know this feeling all too well. As someone who, in my late teens, lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment with my mom, while my very wealthy dad had his replacement family, I felt that painful contrast. My dad's new family got everything: big Christmases, ski trips, beach vacations, Bahamas getaways, a mansion, private schools, college funds, sports cars, everything I could only dream of. Meanwhile, I got nothing, and as time went on, my dad checked out more and more, sending me nothing but Christmas and birthday texts. I was left alone to wrestle with constant jealousy and hurt, crying myself to sleep. But did my dad or his wife care? Of course not. They'd just roll their eyes and complain about how difficult I was. Robyn's whole "I don't get it" act about the strained relationship with the older kids strikes a nerve with me. It's so painfully obvious that spending Christmas at her place would hurt them more than it would bring joy. But she's not ready to face that truth, so instead, she just blames the kids for not playing along like the others did. She knows what's going on. She just wants to keep up the charade because, deep down, she was hoping they'd eventually go along with it, just like the other wives did for a while. Leon is absolutely insufferable, and it's mind-boggling how everyone keeps making excuses for their spoiled behavior. Like, how is it still a thing? After they went off to college, hooked up with Audrey, and had all this supposed growth, they're still that bad. At this point, the whole "they were just a teenager being filmed" excuse just doesn't cut it anymore. I've always thought Leon was a brat, but watching it again now, I'm convinced. Take the whole Meri buying the bin-bee moment. Meri's thrilled, her dream finally comes true, and the whole family is excited for her. But of course, Leon has to throw in, she's happy, it's her dream, but it's definitely not mine. Oh, how magnanimous of you, Leon. Seriously, why is that even necessary? Can't you just be happy for your mom? This is the same woman who, despite growing up in a super religious, anti-gay environment, still took you to a gay bar for the first time in her life. She's never even been to a bar before. And this is how you repay her? By being rude about something that should make her happy? It's a bit like when Leon had Meri attend a march they were passionate about, but then turned around and said, "The polygamy march isn't my fight." Classic, self-centered and dismissive. Honestly, it feels like Leon was dealt a pretty odd hand in the family dynamic. They were basically an only child in a big family, with no full siblings, which definitely set them apart. And, of course, they were completely indulged by their mom, who didn't have to divide her attention between multiple kids. You could see it in the early episodes. While Christine was stressing over feeding 5 kids breakfast in the morning, and Logan was running around getting everyone ready, Meri's kitchen was this serene space, with just her and Leon calmly making breakfast for 2. They were spoiled. End of story. And it shows in how petulant and bratty they acted if things didn't go their way. At the end of the day, Leon was easily one of the worst kids on the show. One of my favorites, when they asked Meri and Janelle to support their march, only to turn around and say, "It's not my fight," when the family needed the same support. Typical. There definitely seems to be some serious resentment from Leon toward Meri. Not saying it's entirely justified. Meri did make significant efforts to support them after they came out, but it's not exactly surprising. Meri was so focused on Leon, and her constant lying probably didn't help matters. I also can't help but wonder how Leon feels about how Meri treated the rest of the family. They clearly love their siblings and respect Christine and Janelle. If I were in their shoes, and I saw my mother mistreating the other moms and my siblings on a daily basis, I'd be sick to my stomach. There would be a lot of confusion, guilt, pain, and divided loyalties. It's not hard to see why Leon might be struggling with all of it. So, the upcoming tell-all? I can barely contain my excitement, especially after Robyn's charming little soundbite about everyone needing to keep her name out of their mouths. Hilarious, considering she was the most opinionated person on everyone else's marriages. I mean, this woman gaslit Christine when she was trying to leave, telling her everything was fine in Las Vegas. No, it wasn't. And let's talk about the real family wrecking. Robyn single-handedly derailed everything with her debt, her nanny situation, her shopping addiction, and of course, her obsession with speaking for Kody. She even orchestrated Meri's divorce from him, but now she's sitting there, sobbing like some poor victim, absolutely rich. This woman's delusion is staggering, and it's so painfully frustrating to watch. But sure, let's all bow down to the youngest wife, who's been divorced once, buried in debt, and is a single mom, and monogamous. And somehow she was the one who had all the answers to the OG3's marital problems. Loudly, might I add. But yeah, please, do go ahead and keep her name out of your marriages. She's as self-absorbed as a pack of ramen noodles. And don't even get me started on the tell-alls. It's just a big curated mess of rage bait to keep us hooked. The producers know we're watching, desperate for some sort of resolution, but we'll never get it. Why? Because no one is ever held accountable, especially Kody. Now Christine, like a lot of married women, tried to keep up a happy front. And honestly, I think she did her best, especially with the kids around. Keeping busy with their activities gave her something to focus on, and she wanted them to have a good childhood. I actually respect that. But when Robyn blurted out, "That's a lie," I nearly choked. Wait, what? Later, she tells Meri she saw the issues in Las Vegas. So why the dramatic lie outburst? Oh, right, Kody. They were a team, working together to confuse everyone. Guess Robyn never bothered to watch the show. And Kody, classic Kody, blamed Christine for not seeing the big picture. What even is this big picture? Oh right, the Celestial Kingdom. But who honestly wants to spend eternity with Kody and Robyn? If Kody hasn't seen Evie since she was born, didn't show up for her amputation surgery or visit during her recovery, yeah, it's obvious, but still. Seriously, even if you weren't going to be there for Evie, couldn't you have at least shown up for your daughter? You know, the one with a 1-year-old going through something huge. You couldn't even show up to help with Axel or offer any emotional support. It's wild, especially considering this is exactly a shocking move for him. He skipped out on Isabel's surgery too, after all, but it still blows my mind. He had no issue hopping on a plane to Texas to officiate a wedding, but couldn't make the trip to North Carolina for what was probably one of the most traumatic and stressful days of his daughter and granddaughter's lives. And then there's the cherry on top. He actually gave Janelle grief for traveling so much during the pandemic to support Axel while Evie was undergoing surgery. And when Janelle went to be with Maddie during Evie's amputation, he called it a vacation. Yeah, there's no coming back from that in my book. But here's the worst part. It's not just that he didn't go. He actually tried to stop Janelle from going too. If he'd gotten his way, Maddie, Evie, Axel, and Caleb would have had even less support during one of the most difficult times in their lives. And yet, he wants to be the grandfather of the year, with his hugs and photos at the wedding. Yeah, real winner. I bet a lot of plane tickets could have been bought with that creepy art. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.